We live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next hour. National Human Rights Day observed today. President Draupadi Murmu to attend NHRC celebrations at Bharat Mandapam as the chief guest. Government orders IndiGo to cut flight operations by 10%. Passengers stranded amid ongoing disruptions and cancellations on 9th day. Zelenskyy says Ukraine ready to hold new elections, will send revised peace proposals to Washington within a day. Australia ban on social media for children under 16 kicks in with varied reactions. Prime Minister Albanese says it will protect their childhood. Cambodia vows fierce response in ongoing dispute with Thailand. Thailand says Cambodia would have to show sincerity and make the first move to de-escalate. And India crushes South Africa by 101 runs in Qatar to go 1-0 up in the 5-match T20 International Series. And on to the details now. The National Human Rights Commission is celebrating Human Rights Day today, with President Draupadi Murmu gracing the event to be held at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi as the chief guest. Well, the event will bring together government officials, diplomats, civil society members, human rights defenders and experts. Now, the NHRC is also organizing a national conference on the theme Ensuring Everyday Essentials, Public Services and Dignity for All, aligned with this year's UN Human Rights Day theme, Everyday Essentials. Dr. P.K. Mishra, Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, will deliver the keynote address. The Commission said the theme highlights the importance of essential public services such as healthcare, education, housing, justice and social protection in ensuring dignity and equality. Well, earlier, NHRC Chairperson Justice V. Ramasubramaniam, in a conversation with DD India's Tanvi Thaneja, opined that human rights violations can be committed by both the state and the non-state actors.
Human rights violations take place not merely at the instance of the state actors, but also at the instance of non-state actors. This, as a lawyer and as a judge, I have watched very closely for about 40 years. When my journey started in the legal field. So what it signifies to me is that people should learn to respect other people's rights. That is why the Universal Declaration of Human Rights itself says the purpose of this document is to encourage people to respect each other's rights. If we don't respect each other's rights, you cannot enforce your own rights.
Well, further, Justice V. Ramasubramaniam stressed the need for the UN to adapt the Universal Declaration of Human Rights with a new generation of rights.
After the explosion of information technology, digital technology, new genre of rights have come up. People have realized right to privacy. Science and technology, people realize that I have a right to die peacefully. I don't want to undergo this treatment, euthanasia. So these are scientific challenges which have started coming up, and people have different views. There is no unanimity of view on some of these new genre of rights, new generation rights.
So you think that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights sooner or later will have to incorporate these new genre of rights?
They will have to reinvent itself. We will have to reinvent ourselves to take care of these new genre of rights.
Well, the Civil Aviation Ministry on Tuesday ordered IndiGo to reduce its flight schedule by 10% as it would help the crisis-ridden airline to stabilize operations. The Minister, Raman Naidu, summoned the CEO Peter Elbers again on Tuesday to get an update. He confirmed that 100% of the refunds for flights affected till 6th of December have been completed. A strict instruction to expedite the completion of the remaining refunds and baggage handover was given. Well, however, the most significant decision was curtailment of the overall IndiGo routes to help stabilize the airline's operations and lead to reduced cancellations. Thus, a curtailment of 10% has been ordered. While abiding with it, IndiGo will continue to cover all its destinations as before. Further, IndiGo has been instructed to comply with all the directives of the ministry, including fare capping and passenger convenience measures without any exception. And for the 9th consecutive day today, flight operations across airport continue to face disruption due to ongoing issues with IndiGo's services. 14 flights have been cancelled from Chennai Airport alone today, causing major inconvenience to the passengers. The cancellations come amid acute pilot shortages and operational mismanagement, due to which the airline has been forced to cancel services continuously for over a week. And for more on this, we have Tapas Bhattacharya joining us on the phone line. Well, Tapas, what specific factors within IndiGo's operations, such as the pilot shortages, of course we know, or the scheduling practices, prompted the ministry to mandate a 10% reduction in their flights?
Well, first and foremost, it seems that the problem stems from the fact that there was an internal mismanagement, not just from the perspective of the crew roster system, but also from the fact that they bit more than they could chew, and a combination of a lot of factors, including the major one with the FDTL, the roster system that we are talking about constantly. That has been the case, and that's one of the reasons why yesterday in the morning the DGCA came out first with 5% cut in their schedule, but then later on moved towards after having a discussion with the Civil Aviation Minister, they decided, along with the CEO of IndiGo, they decided that it is imperative to have a 10% cut. To understand the whole issue, you have to understand that it's the first punitive action against India's largest domestic carrier by the government. And in fact, we believe that it will have a major impact on the airlines. The decision of cutting down 10% of the daily scheduled flights will translate into minimum of 216 fewer flights, and this will the cut will remain under periodic review for further necessary action. So what this means is that if there is a requirement for further cut, the DGCA will enforce that. But as of now, what we can say that it's more than 200 flights will be less on the market, and also we've been told that there is a major uncertainty when it comes to the winter session, because we believe that IndiGo may not be able to have 200. They may end up losing more than 400 flights if they don't put their house in order. Already, and if we take a close look, we realize that IndiGo has cancelled in the 6 metro airports more than 422 flights, and of the 422 flights, Delhi has so far seen 152 flights cancelled, Bangalore 121, Hyderabad 58, Chennai 50, and Mumbai 41. So, and there are lists of other airlines, other places where the airlines has urged in having and running the flight schedule. So that's one part of it. So it is imperative that IndiGo puts its house in order. But as of now, the DGC as well as the Civil Aviation Ministry is quite strict on what they want from IndiGo, and they want the IndiGo to put their house in order before they will be given a chance to run more flights.
Well, Tapas, also IndiGo now, of course, has to continue serving all destinations, as you mentioned. How is the airline expected to reallocate aircraft and crew to maintain the full network coverage which is expected now while cutting flights simultaneously?
So the idea is that they don't need to stretch themselves. Earlier, if you take a close look at how they were planning last year onwards, and they knew very well that the FDTL will come into force, they are saying that right now they're improving their on-time performance. That's up from 30% a week back to almost 90%. But even now, it seems that their onboard services, their services with few services with the airline is still not at par. A lot of people still haven't. I mean, till 6th of the ministry notification states that till 6th of December, whosoever has cancelled their ticket or whose airline ticket has been cancelled, they will be given a full refund. That has been achieved. But what about people who, because of the scenario, have been forced to cut their tickets? I know a lot of people who were traveling this week or last week who had to take a urgent step of cancelling their ticket and board other airlines flight, which were quite expensive. If just giving an example, if a flight from Delhi to Bangalore was going at around 16,000 in IndiGo, after the situation erupted, that same route was costing over 25 to 40,000. So if that is the scenario, who's going to be penalized for that? So that's another part that IndiGo needs to take into consideration, that people who have cancelled their ticket, they need to also be returned, the fully refund their fee, and also there's still a lot of baggages that are still lying in the airport that needs to be also cleared as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Passengers are still stranded and the corrective measures are supposed to be taken. Thank you so much, Tapas, for all those details. And moving on, winter session of India's Parliament will witness various discussions in the lower house after question hour and 0 hour. Discussion on electoral reforms is scheduled, on which final remarks will be given by Home Minister Amit Shah. While following the discussion in the lower house, a discussion on the 150th anniversary of the national song Vande Mataram is scheduled in the upper house for today as well. The discussion on Vande Mataram in the upper house will be concluded by JP Nadda, although there were several instances of disruptions by the opposition during the discussion in both the houses, with several heated exchanges taking place. Now, the good news, however, is that the proceedings in both houses continued smoothly. And for more on this, we have Debyendu Mondal joining us. Well, Debyendu, in Rajya Sabha, the House will resume further discussion on the 150th anniversary of song Vande Mataram. Yesterday, initiating the discussion, Home Minister had stressed that the song will remain relevant in nation's journey towards Viksit Bharat. Till when will the discussion continue today, and what do we expect?
Well, Lipakshi, the discussion will continue in the upper house of Parliament, which was initiated yesterday by Union Home Minister Amit Shah. The discussion is likely to continue throughout the day today, and the concluding remarks, of course, could be made by the floor leader of the House and also the Union Minister, BJP's National President, JP Nadda, who will conclude by replying to all the remarks that have been made throughout the course of the 2 days debate. In fact, a 10 long hours debate which began yesterday. He will be replying, in fact, giving a detailed reply to all the remarks that have been made by various political parties during the course of the debate. And the debate would conclude. While as far as the lower house is concerned, the Lok Sabha, the debate on the electoral reforms continues, which began again yesterday in the lower house. The electoral reform debate would continue throughout the day today. It is expected to begin somewhere post-lunch, in fact, somewhere post-noon. And it will continue, in fact, today as well. After which Union Home Minister Amit Shah is expected to give a detailed reply in the lower house later in the evening today, answering to all the queries that have come up during the course of the debate on the electoral reforms and the special intensive review of electoral rolls, which has been currently undertaken by the Election Commission of India. That has been a contentious issue between both the government and the opposition, which led to a complete washout of the monsoon session. But this time around, the debate is happening. Both the houses of parliament is functioning smoothly, and it is likely to function smoothly throughout the next couple of days till the winter session is over. Dipakshi.
All right, Debindu, thank you so much for that information from there. And still to come, DD India News. India and EU conclude two-day talks on free trade agreement, set sights on finalizing deal by early 2026. Goa police detains Ajay Gupta, one of the 4 owners of nightclub, where a devastating fire claimed 25 lives. NIA arrest 8th accused in deadly Delhi car blast case linked to Red Fort attack conspiracy.
This week on Defence Dynamics, India's battlefield gets a boost with new indigenous unmanned ground vehicles for mine warfare and frontline support. In geopolitics, we decode Asia's most volatile triangle, China, Japan and Taiwan, and why it matters now more than ever. We also ask the central question, shaping Asia's future. What does China really want? And in My Take, we look at Asim Munir's elevation as Pakistan's Chief of Defence Forces and his regional fallout. Catch it all on Defence Dynamics this Wednesday at 8 p.m. IST only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Kuran, and moving on, Italian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation Antonio Tajani arrived in New Delhi on Wednesday for his second visit to India this year, highlighting the steady momentum in diplomatic exchanges between the two countries. Well, his engagements in Delhi and Mumbai will further strengthen India-Italy strategic partnership. During the visit, the Italian FM will meet his Indian counterpart, Dr. S. Jaishankar, in New Delhi today before proceeding to Mumbai for official engagements on Thursday. The visit comes shortly after a series of high-level interactions between the two nations. On November 23rd, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni met on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Johannesburg, where both the leaders discussed expanding collaboration across key sectors, including trade, investment, defense, innovation, AI, space, and education. And moving on, India and the U.S. Foreign Office consultations were co-chaired by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and U.S. Under-Secretary of State Alison Hooker in New Delhi on Tuesday. The consultations provided an opportunity for a comprehensive review of the India-U.S. Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. Now, the two sides discussed key bilateral issues, including trade and investment, defense cooperation, the Trust Initiative, energy cooperation, including civil nuclear collaboration, technology, critical minerals, and trusted supply chains. The discussions also covered regional and global developments of mutual interest, with both sides underscoring their shared commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific. Well, both the sides also welcomed the steady progress across existing dialogue mechanisms and agreed to give momentum to the implementation of catalyzing opportunities for military partnership, accelerated commerce and technology, or COMPACT, for the 21st century to drive transformative cooperation across key pillars of the partnership. Well, a two-day marathon discussion between India and European Union concluded in New Delhi on Tuesday, providing strategic guidance to the teams negotiating a bilateral free trade agreement. EU's Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security, Maros Sefcovic, held meetings with India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman during his two-day visit. Now, Sefcovic's visit took place against the backdrop of the technical discussions held from 3rd to the 9th of December in New Delhi across key chapters of India-EU FTA covering market access for goods, rules of origin, services, technical barriers to trade and sustainable development, Two sides look forward to continued cooperation towards a mutually beneficial India-EU FTA, which they aim to finalize at the most by the first quarter of 2026. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday congratulated Andres Babis on his appointment as the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic following October's parliamentary election. In a post on social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi wrote, and I quote him, "Congratulations, Excellency Andres Babis, on your appointment as Prime Minister of the Czech Republic. I look forward to working with you to further strengthen the cooperation and friendship between India and Czechia." And India and Brazil signed a landmark tripartite MOU between Indian Navy, Brazilian Navy and Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders Limited on Tuesday. During the ongoing visit of Indian Navy Chief Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi to Brazil, the two sides signed the MOU on exchange of information related to maintenance of Scorpene-class submarines and other naval vessels. Also, the MOU will enhance life cycle support, enable experience sharing in maintenance, logistics and training, and strengthen cooperation between government agencies and industry of both the nations. The MOU will further boost defense, R&D collaboration and drive technological innovation in sustaining Scorpene-class submarines and other naval platforms. And Goa police on Tuesday detained Ajay Gupta, one of the four owners of nightclub, where a devastating fire claimed the lives of 25 people. Now, the state police had earlier issued a lookout circular against Gupta and another owner, Surinder Kumar Khosla. Gupta is the sixth person to be held in connection with the case. He will soon be placed under arrest after the completion of formalities to bring him to Goa. Two more owners of the nightclub, Saurabh Luthra and Gaurav Luthra, are on the run, and a blue corner notice has been issued against them. Also, the police have so far arrested 5 people, including nightclub's chief general manager. 25 people were killed in the fire at a nightclub in Arpora in North Goa around midnight on Saturday. And Belgium Supreme Court, the Court of Cassation, on Tuesday rejected the appeal of fugitive diamond trader Mehul Choksi, challenging the extradition request of India in connection with 130 billion Indian rupees alleged bank fraud in Punjab National Bank. Now, with the appeal dismissed, officials confirmed that the extradition order can now be executed, subject to the completion of the necessary formalities. Choksi, who escaped to Antigua and Barbuda in January 2018, days before the scam was detected, was spotted in Belgium, where he had purportedly sought treatment. Choksi arrested in Antwerp in April 2025 after India sent an extradition request to Belgium based on arrest warrants issued by a special court in Mumbai. The Antwerp Court of Appeal had upheld India's request for Choksi's extradition while terming it enforceable. And in another breakthrough in the deadly Delhi car blast case, the National Investigation Agency on Tuesday arrested the 8th accused. Now, the accused, identified as Dr. Bilal Nasir Mullah, a resident of Jammu and Kashmir's Baramulla, was nabbed by an NIA team from Delhi. The NIA has found Bilal's involvement in the conspiracy behind the terrorist attack in the Red Fort area on November 10th. As per NIA investigations, Bilal had knowingly harbored the deceased accused Umar Unnabi by providing him logistical support. He is also accused of destruction of evidence related to the terrorist attack. The NIA is continuing with its investigation into the conspiracy behind the deadly blast. The anti-terror agency is working closely with various central and state agencies to unravel all the threads of the conspiracy. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday urged the citizens to participate in the Your Money, Your Right movement, an initiative aimed at helping people recover unclaimed deposits, insurance proceeds, dividends and other financial assets. Now, sharing on social media posts, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Here is a chance to convert a forgotten financial asset into a new opportunity. Take part in the Your Money, Your Right movement," unquote. The campaign offers individuals a chance to convert forgotten financial assets into usable funds. In the article, Prime Minister Modi highlighted that Indian banks currently hold about 78,000 crore rupees in unclaimed deposits. Insurance companies have nearly 14,000 crore rupees lying unclaimed, mutual fund companies around 3,000 crore rupees, and unclaimed dividends amount to roughly 9,000 crore rupees. He said the initiative launched in October 2025 was designed to ensure citizens can reclaim their rightful assets. Dedicated online portals have been created to enable easy tracking and claiming of funds. RBI Udgam portal for unclaimed bank deposits, Irdai Bima Bharosa portal for unclaimed insurance proceeds, SEBI Mitra portal for unclaimed mutual fund amounts, and IEPFA portal for unpaid dividends and unclaimed shares. And moving on, the Indian Meteorological Department has warned of a cold wave across multiple states from Wednesday, with conditions likely to continue till 14th of December in some regions. Dense fog is also expected in several areas. Cold wave conditions are likely to persist over central, eastern and northern peninsula India, particularly in parts of Chhattisgarh, central Maharashtra, north interior Karnataka, Odisha, Punjab, Telangana, Vidarbha and western Madhya Pradesh. The department forecast a drop of about 2 degrees Celsius in minimum temperatures over northwestern India in the next 3 days, followed by a rise of 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. Central India will see little temperature change for 3 days, with a slight rise of 2 to 3 degrees Celsius thereafter.
There will be a gradual fall in temperatures by about 2 degrees during next 3 days over the regions. As a result, we are expecting there will be a cold wave conditions over isolated pockets of Punjab, Haryana during next 3 days. And if you talk about NCR, Delhi, the temperature is around about between 9 to 10, and it will also fall by 2 degrees over this region, but we are not expecting any cold wave conditions over NCR, Delhi. If you talk about the other part of country, we are experiencing cold wave conditions over Madhya Pradesh, then Chhattisgarh, then Vidarbha and Odisha also. So what we are expecting, cold wave conditions likely to continue over these regions.
Meanwhile, temperatures across Jammu and Kashmir dropped sharply on Monday night, with most areas recording below normal minimums. Now, Srinagar shivered at minus 3.7 degrees Celsius, accompanied by dense fog blanketing the iconic Dal Lake. Locals turned to traditional winter practices, wearing fairans and gathering around roadside bonfires to keep themselves warm. Well, the cold wave has also intensified in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, where dense fog continues to disrupt visibility as winter sets in. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Udhampur is grappling with an acute water crisis months after the devastating August floods severely damaged key supply lines. Despite temporary fixes, major restoration work remains stalled, leaving thousands of residents dependent on irregular water delivery. Officials say the Jal Shakti department is still working to restore full functionality with this scale of the setback and the urgent need for long-term solutions. Jammu and Kashmir is set to host its first ever international Dangal and Rustam-e Jammu Kashmir title 2025 at the Maulana Azad Stadium, Jammu on the 17th of December 2025. The mega sporting event organized by the Jammu and Kashmir Sports Council aims to promote unity, strength, fitness and cultural pride through the traditional sport of wrestling. The championship will bring together professional wrestlers from India, Iran and several other countries, making it one of the biggest wrestling events ever organized in the Union Territory. In a colourful push to reconnect with India's youngest generation, the Department of Post has unveiled Gujarat's first fully revamped Gen Z-themed post office at IIT Gandhinagar. It was an initiative by the Institute's own students. They transformed the facility from a traditional post office into a tech-friendly, youth-oriented hub. The Department of Post plans to open or renovate 46 such Gen Z-themed post offices across educational institutions nationwide by the 15th 15th of December. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Sisters of former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan protested outside Adiala jail, expressing concerns over his health and safety. EU agrees to legally binding climate target to cut emissions by 90% by the year 2040. A Nobel Prize Museum unveils These Things Change the World exhibition in Stockholm.
Dr. Shashi Tharoor, welcome to Moscow. How crucial was Russia's support in India's early decades?
Mr. Khrushchev, in particular, opened up Indo-Soviet relations phenomenally. They helped India in everything from setting up the Bhilai steel plant to the whole business of cooperating with India's space programs. All sorts of things happened. The extraordinary success of the BrahMos missile. The Bra comes from the Indian Brahma and the Mos comes from Moscow.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. National Human Rights Day observed today. President Draupadi Murmu to attend NHRC celebrations at Bharat Mandapam as chief guest. Government orders IndiGo to cut flight operations by 10%. Passengers stranded amid ongoing disruptions and cancellations on 9th day. Zelenskyy says Ukraine ready to hold new elections, will send revised peace proposals to Washington within a day. Australia ban on social media for children under 16 kicks in with varied reactions. Prime Minister Albanese says it will protect their childhood. US President Donald Trump says he'll make a phone call to stop the conflict as fighting between Thailand and Cambodia extends into third day and triggers mass evacuations on both sides. And India crushed South Africa by 101 runs in Qatar to go up by 1-0 in the 5-match T20 International Series. And moving on, in a latest update on Ukraine-Russia conflict, Ukraine is to present a revised peace plan to President Donald Trump's administration on Wednesday after weeks of negotiations which have failed to produce an agreement. In an audio message, Zelenskyy said a revised peace plan now contained 20 points, though there was still no agreement on Russia's demand that Ukraine surrender occupied territory, which has become the major sticking point in negotiations. He said new components of the deal hashed out with the British, French and German leaders in London on Monday are ready for US review. The comments came after meeting with European and NATO leaders.
We are talking to the Americans and we are already talking to the Europeans, and I am very glad that we have involved our European partners. There are 3 documents. The first document is 20 points. It is constantly changing. This is normal. It is a living structure that should be of interest of Ukraine, Europe and the world. The second document is security guarantees. We are working on it. I am waiting for the appropriate proposal from our military and from their dialogue with the American. And all this need to be combined with the principle of collision of the willing.
Now, President Zelenskyy also said he was ready for elections, calling on US and European partners to help ensure security for the poll during the conflict, adding that if security is guaranteed, the elections could be held in the next 60 to 90 days.
I am ready for the election. Moreover, I asked now and I declared it openly. the United States of America to help me, including together with European colleagues, ensure security for the election. And then the next 60 to 90 days, Ukraine will be ready to hold the election. And I personally have the will and readiness for this. Next, since this is the case, I ask the deputies of the parties in principle or MPs to prepare the legislative proposal on the possibility of changing the legislative basis and the law on election during the martial law. I'll be in the Ukraine tomorrow. I expect proposals from my partners. I expect proposal from our deputies, and I am ready to go to the elections.
And moving on, a fierce border battle between Thailand and Cambodia raged for the second day and spread across 5 provinces on Tuesday as both the countries accused each other of shelling the civilian areas. Cambodia's influential former Prime Minister Hun Sen said that Cambodian forces responded only after Thailand escalated the conflict. He stated that Phnom Penh had held back from returning fire for 2 days, even as Thailand launched air raids and tank attacks. Cambodia's Defense Ministry countered that its troops had to defend themselves, accusing Thailand of indiscriminate shelling of civilian areas, allegations Bangkok rejected. Well, Thailand said it would move forward with its military plans, with the foreign minister asserting that Cambodia must demonstrate genuine intent and take the initial step towards easing tensions, dismissing the possibility of outside mediation. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio issued a statement urging an immediate end to the fighting and a return to the de-escalation steps agreed upon at an October summit attended by Trump. Now, moving on, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday he will try again to stop fighting between Thailand and Cambodia after a ceasefire he helped broker in July collapsed this week. Speaking at a Mount Pocono casino in northeastern Pennsylvania, Trump listed the conflict. He said he has halted when he mentioned the fighting between the Southeast Asian neighbors, which broke out again on Monday. Now, Trump said he expected to make a phone call on Wednesday regarding Thailand and Cambodia conflict as fighting has re-escalated along their disputed border.
They'll make a phone call and I think they'll get it. Who else could say, I'm going to make a phone call and stop a war of 2 very powerful countries, Thailand and Cambodia, they're going at it again. But I'll do it. So we're making peace through strength. That's what we're doing.
Well, amid U.S.-Venezuela spat, Washington is continuing its military buildup in the Caribbean. U.S. Marines were seen mobilizing armored vehicles and all-terrain vehicles. They are believed to be positioning in the area for drills. A heightened U.S. military presence has been seen in the Caribbean amid regional tensions. And in another dispute, U.S. officials will meet Mexican counterparts over a water dispute. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum expects to reach an agreement. She said that Mexico is limited in delivering more water by the country's own needs under the treaty and by the size of a pipeline which transports water to the Rio Grande, which she described as a physical constraint. Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump accused Mexico of violating a treaty that outlines water sharing between the neighbors and threatened to impose an additional 5% tariff on goods from Mexico if it doesn't immediately provide additional water. And next, we have an update on the crisis in Africa, where AFC M23 officials met in Goma as their commanders accused government forces and Wazalendo militias of sowing chaos in the lakeside city of Uvira. Rumors of an approaching rebel column have sparked panic, but M23 fighters have not entered yet. Coordinator Colonel Nanga told a news conference that Burundian troops had withdrawn and that rival Congolese forces were now abandoning the city, leaving civilians to fend for themselves. The violence has escalated just days after the U.S. hosted Rwanda and Congo for a ceremonial signing of a peace pact in Washington. And French lawmakers narrowly approved the 2026 Social Security budget on Tuesday, handing Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu a crucial victory but at enormous political and financial cost that could still threaten his fragile government. Also, Lecornu is seeking to get the broader state budget through Parliament before year-end, but his costly concessions to win socialist support on the Social Security financing bill have alienated allies and left him politically weakened. Now, lawmakers approved the Social Security bill by a margin of just 13 votes, highlighting the government's precarious position in a divided lower house where no party holds a majority. The approval secures funding for healthcare, pensions and welfare, although it leaves a funding shortfall likely close to 20 billion euros. Budget battles have already toppled 3 governments since Macron lost his parliamentary majority in a snap election last year, including Michel Barnier's cabinet, which fell to a no-confidence vote over last year's budget. Well, after the vote, the French Prime Minister in a social media post said that adopting a budget will be difficult, perhaps even more so than in recent weeks. And the schedule for Bangladesh's 13th national parliamentary election is set to be announced later this week. Bangladesh's Chief Election Commissioner informed that simultaneous national referendum will also be held. The CEC made the remarks after a meeting with Chief Justice, noting that the Election Commission has completed all necessary preparations for both the polls and the referendum. The upcoming vote will cover all 300 parliamentary constituencies. For the first time, it will be held in conjunction with a nationwide referendum on the recently introduced July National Charter 2025, which outlines several proposed political governance and constitutional reforms. Meanwhile, political parties have intensified internal discussions, reviewing candidate list, alliance options and strategic adjustments ahead of the scheduled release. Seat-sharing negotiations among smaller parties have also begun to pick up momentum across various districts. And moving on, the sisters of former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan held a protest outside the Adiala jail on Tuesday, voicing strong concerns of his health and safety in custody. Uzma Khan and Alima Khan gathered outside the prison gates, expressing serious concerns regarding Imran Khan's health and security. The protest drew several PTI workers who raised concerns about Imran Khan's health and security inside the prison, where he's been detained following convictions in multiple cases. Strict security was deployed around Adiala jail as authorities monitored the demonstration, reflecting heightened tensions between PTI supporters and the government over his detention conditions. Their protest comes days after Uzma Khanum met Imran Khan inside Adiala jail on December 2nd. Widespread speculation about his well-being and later claimed the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf chief was facing severe mental torture. Following the interaction, Uzma said Imran Khan was alive but expressed alarm over his physical condition and the conditions in which he is being held. She further stated that Imran Khan blamed Pakistan's Army Chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, for subjecting him to mental torture. And moving on, Australia has become the first country to ban social media for children under 16. Now, as the order came into effect, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese described it today when families are taking back power. Internet regulators the world over are watching to see if Australia can rein in the tech giants. Here's what we know about how Australia will enforce the new restrictions. Firstly, a 16-year-old user's attempt to access social media platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, Facebook or Snapchat. Then the user is asked to take a selfie or record a video. Liveness detection feature will verify if the user is a real person and the image is analyzed by the algorithm trained on age-specific data. An age verification ID check is triggered for a user whose age is estimated by the system within 2 years of being 16. This buffer is determined by the accuracy required by the platform owner. Then again, the user's ID is analyzed for age verification. After the age is successfully determined as 16 and the user is given access to the platform, platforms may face the threat of up to 49.5 million Australian dollars in fines if they fail to take reasonable steps to comply. And the European Union agreed late on Tuesday on a legally binding climate target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 90% by the year 2040 against 1990 levels and buy foreign carbon credits to cover 5% of the emission cuts. In practice, the target will require an 85% emission cut from European industries and let countries pay foreign countries to cut emissions on Europe's behalf to make up the rest from 2036. The EU Parliament and EU countries must each give formal approval for the changes to become law, usually a formality that waves through pre-agreed deals. And some news around the world now. The Nobel Prize Museum in Stockholm is showcasing an exhibition called These Things Change the World, which includes over 250 items donated by Nobel Prize laureates celebrating their remarkable accomplishments. Among these, around 25 artifacts have been contributed by Japanese Nobel Prize winners over the years. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Fed set to deliver third straight rate cut amid data delays from US government shutdown. Liverpool edge Inter Milan 1-0 in Champions League clash despite Salah's absence. And Lionel Messi wins second straight Major League Soccer Most Valuable Player award after title-winning season.
Launch a bombing campaign against Iran. The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and on to some business news now. The Federal Reserve is poised to deliver its third straight interest rate cut and its guidance for 2026 on Wednesday. This week's policy gathering is among the most closely watched in recent years. Fed may take key interest rate down to a range of 3.5% to 3.75%. For now, economists expect the Fed to hold rates steadily at its next meeting on January 27 to 28. The U.S. Central Bank will have to make its decision without some key government data. Hiring data for November and the latest inflation number have been delayed until mid-December after the Fed's meeting because of the U.S. government shutdown. And just a few days after introducing White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett as a potential Federal Reserve chair, U.S. President still will be meeting with a couple of candidates to replace Jerome Powell.
Will you be holding a final round of interviews for Fed chair this week? There was a report that you'd be meeting with Fed Governor Kevin Warren.
We're going to be looking at a couple of different people, but I have a pretty good idea who I want.
While waiting for Federal Reserve's policy announcement, global stock markets ended on a mixed note. In the U.S., the Dow opened higher but closed lower, while the Nasdaq reversed early losses to end the day in the green. Europe's main markets were also mixed, while Asia ended the day mostly lower. Nvidia slipped 0.3% after Monday's gains linked to changes in AI chip export rules. Warner Brothers, Discovery advanced 3.8%, Paramount, Skydance rose 0.5%, while Netflix dipped by 0.1%. JP Morgan Chase fell 4.7% after indicating its 2026 expenses may reach $105 billion higher than projected. Meanwhile, President Trump tried to reassure Americans that the U.S. economy was healthy as Republicans braced for a tough fight to hold control of Congress in next year's midterm elections. He argued that his economic policies, including his imposition of widespread tariffs on imports, are creating jobs, boosting the stock market, and attracting increased investment into the United States.
Bad people. And the word affordability is the exact same thing. And I can't say affordability hoax because I agree the prices were too high, so I can't go to hoax because they'll misconstrue that. But they use the word affordability, and that's their only word. They say affordability, and everyone says, oh, that must mean Trump has high prices. No, our prices are coming down tremendously from the highest prices in the history of our country.
And you're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for some sports news. India's men's cricket team started their T20 International Series campaign against South Africa with a clinical win in the first T20 International in Cuttack on Tuesday. India's bowling attack produced an all-round performance to bowl South Africa out for 74 runs in 12.3 overs to set up 101 runs victory. Arshdeep Singh, Jasprit Bumrah, Varun Chakravarti and Akshar Patel all hunted in a pack, claiming 2 wickets apiece. Earlier, Hardik Pandya smashed an unbeaten 59 to power India to 175 for 6 wickets in 20 overs. Akshar Patel scored 23 runs while Tilak Varma struggled to get going, only managing 26 off 32 balls after India were reduced to 48 for 3 in 7 overs. India go up 1-0 in 5-match series. Both teams clash again on Thursday in New Chandigarh. And the Indian women's squad for the home 5-match T20 International Series against Sri Lanka was announced on Tuesday, with 2 promising youngsters receiving their maiden senior team call-up. G. Kamlini and Vaishnavi Sharma, both part of India's Under-19 Women T20 World Cup winning squad, were named in the 15-member team. Harmanpreet Kaur will lead the side, with Smriti Mandhana named as her deputy. The 5-match series will begin on December 21st in Visakhapatnam. This will be India's first T20 international assignment since lifting their maiden ODI World Cup trophy last month. And on to FIH Hockey Junior Women's World Cup 2025 now. The Indian junior women hockey team defeated Uruguay 3-1 in shootout after an intense 1-1 draw. In the 9-12 qualification match in Santiago on Tuesday, Manisha was the goal scorer for India, while Justin Aragua scored the equalizer for Uruguay. India emerged victorious in the shootout 3-1 as Purnima Yadav, Ishika and Kanika Sevach scored from their takes, and goalkeeper Nidhi denied Uruguay thrice to ensure her team beginning ahead in the tournament. India will next play Spain on Thursday in the 9-10th place match. And Liverpool brushed off the absence of Mohamed Salah with a 1-0 Champions League victory over Inter Milan in San Siro. Tuesday's win puts Liverpool on 12 points from 6 games and inside the top 8 positions, which offer direct qualification for the last 16 ahead of Wednesday's fixtures. Inter, meanwhile, are 5th on the same tally but have lost their last 2 European fixtures and created nearly nothing against an injury-hit Liverpool, who were missing not just star Salah but also unfit Cody Gakpo, Federico Chiesa and Wataru Endo. And Lionel Messi won his 2nd consecutive Major League Soccer Most Valuable Player award on Tuesday after sparking Inter Miami to the MLS title and leading the league in goals. Messi became the first player to win back-to-back MVP awards and only the 2nd MLS player to capture 2 MVP awards overall after Preki in 1997 and 2003. The 38-year-old forward, who led Argentina to the 2022 World Cup crown, scored 29 balls in the regular season and set up 19 others to claim the MLS Golden Boot. Messi, who signed a 3-year contract extension with Miami in October, also became only the 2nd player to lead the league in regular season goals and assists, joining Toronto's Sebastian Giovinco in 2015. And the 33rd Southeast Asian Games 2025 commenced in style with a vibrant opening ceremony at the Rajmangala National Stadium in Bangkok, Thailand. Thailand opened the 33rd Southeast Asian Games on Tuesday night with a ceremony. The ceremony, with its central theme, "We Are One," began with drones soaring above the stadium, first forming the Games emblem and then a series of numbers representing key figures of the Games. Highlights also included underwater ballet, jet ski and flyboard stunts. 13,000 athletes from 11 Southeast Asian nations are set to compete across 50 medal sports, ranging from Olympic to traditional sports. The Games will be held from December 9 to December 20th, with some sports such as football, baseball and badminton already underway. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.